Okay, hello and welcome to my modding stream. And so today's topic is to cover all the basics for creating a mod in C# for Bannerlord. And we will start soon, or start pretty much right now. Yeah, sorry about that. There was some technical difficulties with the stream, but we are on now. Okay, so let's see what we want to do. So when I was trying to do my mods, I noticed that there's like a kind of discrepancy between like the people who know what they do. There's like very few people who actually know what they're doing, and they're like doing all the big mods. And there's like the Bannerlord people who do know what they're doing, and the guy who made Freelancer who quit modding. And then there's like they are like very resourceful and can figure out themselves what they want to do and how to find things. And then there's like pretty much no one else doing mods, or very little and almost no documentation. So what I want to do today is to just well, basically show how to get started with C# modding and the tools that I use and how do I go about things. How I would, now that I know a bit more what I'm doing, how would I actually do stuff. So, oh, sorry about that. So there's issue with Nightbot, I guess. Let's just remove it for now. Sorry, I was trying to add Nightbot to my channel. Okay, sorry about that. Technical difficulties with the chat. Okay, so let's get started. So first thing I want to do is do basic C# mod. And we will set up the environment. We will do like add behavior. So then we will like do a basic test. Then we want to do we want to add behavior so that it does something useful. Then I want to add console command for testing and stuff. These are very useful, right? And very powerful. And then second thing that I want to do is I want to do Gauntlet mod with UIExtender. And this was really hard to do, actually. There were a lot of things that you need to figure out, and I want to show kind of like want to kind of show everything that I went through. And we would just do something like just try to modify some in-game UI, and then try to add our own data to it with Harmony. And this is what we want to do, right? I hope that the chat issue will get resolved soon. I wonder if there's anything that I can do about it. Really sorry about that. Anyway. And then, so let's start getting towards our basic mod. So what tools will I use? Only 3 tools, right? We will want to use VS Code, VS Community, right? So this is the free version of Visual Studio. And then I will use VS Code for text editing. And we will use dnspy to read the game code. Then we need some sort of console. Some sort of console. I use git bash, but you can use whatever console you want. And also I will use, later on probably I will use this tool called ripgrep, but you don't necessarily need it. But I will show you later how I use this and how it can be useful. Now these are of course free tools. This is basically what we will try to achieve. Okay, so let's just get started. So this is the unofficial modding document for Bannerlord. This is basically the most useful document that there is. And let's just start following this basic C# mod, and this will get us to like pretty far. So I won't follow this like exactly, but let's just start doing this, what it supposes that we should do. So let's just start like with creating our own mod inside we will go directly into the Steam folder and do modules and do like tutorial basic mod. And we will add new submodule, if I can, submodule.xml, which is what this tells that you should do. And I will add it. I will basically just copy paste this. Editing XML yourself is kind of not fun, so better just copy paste whenever you can. And we will rename all this. I could use some sort of find and replace, but whatever. Okay, and this will be our kind of main point for our module. So we will need to have namespace called tutorial basic mode, and we will need to have a class called mySubmodule. And we will try to get to this point. Okay, so let's just go here and get started with our coding. Oh, actually, let's start Visual Studio. So this is Visual Studio Community. You can download it for free, but it requires that you log in with your Microsoft account. So whatever, but so you should go to C# library. You should have C# capabilities installed and Net Framework. And I'm using Net Framework 4.7.2 for my. This is actually important. It should be class library.net framework. And we will be creating a DLL, which will be loaded, which will be our mod that will be loaded. And project name will be .tut_basic_mod. Tutorial basic mod. And this will be my submodule, right? Okay, so first thing that we need to do, we need the reference DLLs. Oh shit, this is again bad. I'm bad actually. I should have switched to display capture. Okay. Okay, so I should have switched to display capture. Okay. So let's go over again. I don't know. This will be a bad video. Whatever. Let's just I will edit the timestamps so that I will edit the timestamps so that the chapters so that people can skip directly to the point where I actually can show stuff. So let's go to this again. So we will try to make basic C# mod, and then later we will try to do Gauntlet mod. Okay, we'll just get over this, and then so let's go to the agenda again. I need a fresh start. I need a fresh start. Okay. We will set the environment and all the tools that we need. Or I will show, I won't show how to install them, but I will show like roughly what to do. Then we will just copy paste stuff from the unofficial documentation until we get something loaded. Then we will try to add a behavior. And behavior is this campaign behaviors are things that do things. Campaign behaviors are things that interact with the campaign map somehow. Then we will add console command, which will be very useful for testing. And then, after we have done that, there is like second part. We will try to do a Gauntlet mod, so UI mod. We will try to modify some in-game UI. And we will try to add some our data to that UI with Harmony and UIExtender, which is this library. And the tools that we'll be using are Visual Studio Community, and we will use Visual Studio Code for text editing. We will use DNSpy for reverse engineering the game code. And then kitbash is just for console, and ripgrep you will see later how I will use ripgrep, but it's a very good program. Hopefully we get to this point where I can show you how I use this. Anyway, I guess I start again once more. So let's go. So now first thing we do is go to modules inside the Steam directory. We will create our own module. Just go create this folder. Later on, we will use a template, which will kind of automate a lot of this, but I think it's useful to do this once by hand so that you know what you want to do or what to expect. So, and we will need this submodule.xml here. This is the unofficial documentation. This is docs.bannerlordmodding.com. And they basically have this submodule.xml, and you should just copy paste this, because editing the XML otherwise is kind of hard. So this will be tutorial basic mod. And this thing will be our kind of main for our mod. What will be loaded first. So this will be in namespace tutorial basic mod, and my submodule will be what the game will look for in our code. We will need a bin, and and then there needs to be this Win64 shipping client. This will be where we will place our DLL. And then we need our project, which we will actually build into this directory. So Visual Studio community. If you get this Visual Studio installer, you will get something like this, right? And you need .NET C# tools. And I unselect most of these. I pretty much only have the .NET development tools and IntelliCode and profiling tools, and you don't need anything else. This is basically everything you need. So you need C# tools for Visual Studio community. And then we can make our own project. Create new project. And you should try to find library and .NET Framework, class library for .NET Framework, and select 4.7.2. You should have this option. If you don't have this option, then you need to install more .NET Frameworks. And our project will be tutorial basic mod. Oh, and the location, well, the location was correct for me, but you should put this, I like to put this inside here, inside my module in the src source directory. And we will need to add references to this project so that we can reference things in the game code, basically. So to add references, you just right-click references and go to this shipping client. I don't know, I can make it bigger easily, but so inside the Steam binary shipping client again, and I will select everything with tail worlds in it. Oh, if I can. Select everything with tail worlds in it, just add. It will complain, but it will still work, probably. Maybe it doesn't like the access. Okay, let's not select the access then. Add some references to this project. And since we are unselecting things, I will also unselect this native. tailworlds.native.dlo. Okay, now we have a bunch of references loaded. So we can do, this was supposed to be called my submodule. We wrote to the XML that this will be my submodule. So this should inherit from contemplate submodule base. And once we write that, it will suggest that we include this or use this using directory. And now we can just copy this code from here that they suggested you have, or for testing this kind of hello world. Hello, Ronte. So it suggests that you overload this. Override, yeah. Okay. Just let Visual Studio fix the modifiers for you, and then copy paste this thing here. This is the hello world. Okay, and it will show that this needs some more using directives, so just use the auto thing to add those using directories using statements. Okay, and now we need to build this. This is our hello world program, and we need to build it somehow, but we need to build it in the correct directory. So we need to set the output path to be our module root and bin and this Win64 shipping client, that directory that we created. We need the DLL to be in this directory. So if we build now, let's see where the DLL ends up. The DLLs, I don't know why, I don't understand how this net project works exactly, but sometimes the DLL is not directly in this folder. So then you might need to go manually edit the CS project file. This will be this. So Ronte is asking in the chat if this will be more of a starter guide. So this will be kind of tutorial. Later on, I might make something else, but for now, this is a tutorial. So if it doesn't output them directly in the win shipping, the DLLs directly in this directory where they need to be, then you might need to go edit this CS project file. You can probably Google that, how to do that exactly. But now it output them immediately in the correct folder, so we don't need to do that step. And then, so now we have the DLL where we need it. So now we can try to load our mod in Bannerlord. So tutorial basic mod, make sure that this is ticked, and we don't want to load other mods right now. And we can just ignore this. It was saying that we have written in the XML dependent modules with some versions that don't match the actual versions, but we can just ignore that error. And this was the hello world thing. So let's actually see what the code did. This was the outcome of the copy that we copy pasted from the wiki. So let's look at what we actually wrote here. So we wrote add initial state option message, and we wrote that if you click it, you will display information manager will display message hello world. So this was our hello world program. This is not very interesting because it doesn't do anything in the campaign or anything. It doesn't really interact with the game in any way. So let's try to do something a bit more interesting. This is a very basic mod. So basically everything you need is just have your mod DLL in this directory. And you need to make sure that you build it. You set up your build path here. Set up your build path so that it goes there. So then let's try to do a behavior. And I should explain what behaviors are. So this is dnSpy. This is dnSpy, the program that we can use to read the official modules, the code from the official modules. So the first time you open this up, you should go to sandbox bin directory, the output directory, load all these DLLs. You should go to the game root directory and the win shipping client, and again load all the DLLs with tail worlds in them. Just the DLLs and not the X's. So this is something that you do to load all the assemblies into your dnSpy. This way you can search what they do in the official modules, in the official code. And then I just press Ctrl-Shift-K. So Ctrl-Shift-K is the hotkey for search. And then I can search for things like settlement. Or let's just search for behavior. So we will find tons of behaviors like AI member behavior. And then we can right click this AI member behavior and analyze. it will show us where this is used. And it will show that this is used in Sandbox Manager, where they add a ton of behaviors. So, what are behaviors? Behaviors are ways to interact with the game world. And a ton of things in the game are made through behaviors. Let's look at some of this. Backstory campaign behavior. There's one for Rebellions, right? Rebellions campaign behavior. Let's actually go look at what Rebellions campaign behavior does. So first of all, Rebellion campaign's behavior. It registers a bunch of listeners. So it registers listeners for daily tick settlement. So every day, this behavior will run for each settlement. Every day, every settlement. Every day, it will this will tick for clans. And then on new game created, when you create a new game, Rebellions will do something. Basically, you can listen to a ton of different events from the campaign when sieges are happening and stuff like that. So you can do a ton of stuff just with these behaviors. So let's create one and see how it works. So let's try to make our own behavior. So to register our behavior, we will need a game starter, like they have here. So how can we get a game starter? Well, let's go look at what MB submodule base has to offer. So we have this campaign on campaign start, which looks promising, right? Let's just copy this. Let's just overwrite this. And they had campaign game starter. So I happen to know that this starter object is probably same as this campaign starter object. So we can do something like we need campaigns. I should probably go look at where did I find this thing, but like we need campaign starter object, and this is what we need to do if I remember correctly. Codes are a bit small, sorry. I cannot type campaign game starter. So we should check that this actually exists. Oh, it says that this is not part of C# 7.3, and I should upgrade my language version. So this is something that is in the C#, something that is in here. This is my CS project file. Okay, so I don't want to deal with this right now. Okay. We just wanted to crash. If this doesn't work, I just wanted to crash. So we should get campaign starter object this way, or game starter, just like we had here, right? We want this game starter object for our own behavior. So let's try to do that. But we need our own behavior, so let's try to do that as well. And all these behaviors, if we go look, trade campaign behavior, for example, they inherit from campaign behavior base, so we want to have this thing as well. And it says that we need to have register events and sync data. So let's just copy this. and it says that we need sync data. So sync data is something that is used for save games. And if you're just doing basic behavior, you don't need, or I mean, at some point you will need to deal with the sync data. But for our, at some point you will need to worry about save data and getting your stuff saved. But for now, I don't think it matters that much. We just want to see that we get our behavior working. So let's pick some events that we want to listen for. So if we go back here, I want to listen to some events, right? So let's say daily tick. Daily tick event is good place to start. So we need to set up this listener. And I can go here actually to look at like daily tick event. And you can see that, wait, let's look at something else. So here you can see that the type of this daily tick event is just like mountain blade event without any additional classes or any additional like arguments. Whereas like, for example, hourly tick party event, there's additional class here, which is mobile party, meaning that when you make your meaning that when you try to listen to this hourly tick party event, your action will have this type. Basically, this will be given to you as a parameter. But we will start with daily tick event. And like daily tick event doesn't have anything, so wasn't it like this? So campaign events, add non-serialized listener, new action, and this, and the name of the method. So this will be our so my behavior, this would be like my behavior payload. And we will register this as a listener for daily tick event. Add non-serialized listener. It looks roughly like this, right? Oh, not this here. Okay, now we have our listener registered. And we can now basically do the same thing as we did like right here. So information manager display message will write stuff to the text box like we saw before. And we can do stuff like here. Like this will now be done every day. Actually, let's name this like my daily tick. And now this will be something that is actually like connected to the campaign somehow. So we can call this, this was the best day of my life. So we managed to create our own behavior and we managed to connect it to the game. And this should be like my behavior, right? And we can go here, new. So listeners are listening for events from the campaign system. So this is listening for campaign events, and daily tick is like 1 day passes in the game. So I can select, so there's a bunch of different events, well, such as daily tick event, which will be like once per day, or daily settlement tick, which will be for every settlement. It will tick every day for every settlement. So we can pick what events we want to listen to, and then we add listeners for those events in our behavior. Like, if we look at like campaign events, oh. Like army created, army dispersed, army gathered. So we can listen to everything. Like, we get notified whenever one of these things happens in the game. Whenever someone creates army, our code gets notified. Whenever army is destroyed, our code gets notified. So now if we have done things correctly, and this builds, I'm not quite sure if this works or not. If this isn't right, then I will go look how it was actually done. But I think this is right. So now if this works, we will get daily tick events in our code. And actually, okay, so now it's actually a good time to, we should set up so that we can actually run the debugger. So let's go to properties, I guess, and start external project, start external program, and we should start the Bannerlord whenever we do this, and we need some command line arguments. So this should be like, I don't actually remember how this is done, so I will have to go look at some example. Shouldn't it be here? Yes. So we need this thing. Let me make this a bit smaller. This is the argument given to Bannerlord. And we need to load all the default modules, which are native sandbox core, custom battle, sandbox, story mode, and our module, which is Tooth basic mod. And now it will start Bannerlord exe with this argument when we click here. But it doesn't work. Well, maybe this is wrong. Oh, no, so also this should be... Okay, let's try to load it. I will set this up soon, but let's see if this loads at all. So our DLL is loading. So Ronte is asking if I go live once a week or just kind of whenever. Right now I'm going live just kind of whenever, but I try to stream regularly, I think, from now on. I'm trying to get more into regular streaming. So, we can just go ahead and try it out right now, if it works. Even though I want to set up the debugger, and I will set it up. So let's see if we get... Sorry, my phone is ringing. Okay, sorry about that. So now let's see, our module actually is loaded. So if everything is going correctly, we should get like our message when daily tick happens. So we get this message. This was my best day of my life. So now we can see that our behavior is loaded. Reimo Savo. Sorry, chat requests. So we can see that our DLL is loaded and our behavior is working, and we get daily tick events to our code. And so now we can make a save here. And now next thing I want to do is I want to get the debugger actually working. We can see that our module is actually working. So now the question is why I was not able to load it from here. Well, apparently this does not work. I don't know why exactly. So what I'm trying to do is set up Visual Studio so that I can just run this project and it will launch Bannerlord with my module loaded. And you could see that the module is actually working because I could manually from Steam open it. But that's not how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to, I think it says it here as well, debugging project optional. So this is what I want to do actually. So let's see. It wants me to select mountain plate launcher.exe. Okay, so let's do that one. I was picking the wrong one, I guess. So it wants me to pick this one. Select external program Bannerlord exe. Oh, browse for Bannerlord exe. Oh, so select Bannerlord exe. And then single player modules native. Let's just copy this as well. I mean, this should be the same that I have here. But let's just copy this one anyway. And then this should be the Tot basic mod. Okay, and now let's try to launch this directly from Visual Studio. And it says access violation. Why does this not work? This should definitely work. Well, if it doesn't, it's not a big deal because so you're supposed to follow these instructions here. You're supposed to go to the debug tab. You're supposed to select external program, and then you're supposed to get access to debugger. But since this is not working, I don't know why right now. We will get this working later when I start a new project with the template. But right now I don't really care why it's not working. So let's Let's try to do something a bit more interesting as well. So let's make another listener, like daily hero event. So this time, if we go look at this one, you can see that this is event which takes hero as an argument. So we need to make this action also take hero as argument. So this way, we can get more interesting action, more interesting behavior. And this is basically how you add behavior to your mod. So now we get, this function is called every day for every hero. So we can do stuff like, if we copy this again, we can do like string format, and let's make some format string. And we have this H, which is our hero. Let's spell this out. Hero. So this way, we will now get massive spam for each hero each day if we load back to the game. And actually, one thing, there are these movies. So the startup movies, we can actually disable those. Bannerlord, I recommend that you do this, since you will be starting and exiting Bannerlord a lot. So modules native videos. And we can just rename this. So backup. So this should remove the... This should remove the intro video. And this way we can start up a bit quicker. And now we can just press continue because we already did one save with our module. And now we have registered to another behavior, which is the daily hero tick. Is it not working? Let's see, why is it not working? My daily hero tick. My daily hero tick. Maybe I didn't rebuild. I really want this to work actually. No, it definitely did rebuild. So. What can we do to get this working? Let's see that we actually followed these instructions properly, but I think we did. We went to the debug tab, We selected the external program. Bannerlord exe. Shipping client, Bannerlord exe. Oh, working directory. Okay. Working directory. Set your working directory to WinShip client. Okay. Now it hopefully works. Good? Nice. Follow the instructions. Important. So now we have actual debugger here. So now we can put breakpoints into here and here. And since we have a save already, well, I cannot edit this now, but we can add another command line argument, which is continue game. Well, now our module is not loaded at all. So we can add another argument here, which is continue game, which will take us directly to our save, latest save. So it's basically the same thing as in the launcher. You have this continue button, so we can just write on the command line continue game, which will do the same thing. So we don't need to go through the main menu. And this was working earlier, so why did it stop working? Now let's check that this actually loads my tutorial basic mod. It should, right? One thing that I will do is I will remove the dependent modules because the error is getting kind of annoying. So in the XML, we have these dependent modules. We don't need these actually. So the breakpoints are just to show that we can debug the code, hopefully. So the breakpoints should, once our module loads, once our module loads, it should hit into one of these breakpoints. And now it's not hitting those, so let's go see tutorial basic mod bin, WinShip client. And now at least we got directly into the game, so the continue game was working. But we also none of these breakpoints were hit, so it's not actually loading my mod anymore. This should not matter. I wonder why. Okay, now it loaded it. What? That was really weird. Oh, the on campaign start is probably wrong one, right? Oh, the on campaign start is wrong one. So this only worked actually. Okay. I get it now. On campaign start was wrong one. Do you see what happened? I wrote my add behavior to on campaign start. So this was only run whenever I started a new campaign. But it is actually supposed to be the place where you're actually supposed to register your behaviors is, let me cheat a bit. initialize game starter. This is supposed to be initialize game starter, so that's where you're supposed to load your behaviors. And this is supposed to be iGame starter. This is kind of annoying, but whatever. I need to massage this until it likes this. Private void. Whatever. Can I just remove this override void? Okay, protected override void. I kind of hate this stuff, but whatever. So the on campaign start was only ran when I actually started a new campaign. And this initialize game starter will hopefully be ran when we load a save game. So now our behavior will be loaded again. So now we see all this spam for now our behavior is actually working properly, and we can also actually test the breakpoints. So now we can put a breakpoint here and we will get some actually useful debug information here. So you can actually debug your mods quite easily this way. Okay, and now we can just make this a bit more fun. We can do stuff like add randomness to this. So let's say that there's 50% chance that the hero has a good day, and there's 50% chance that they have a bad day. Random float is not a method, it is property. So now we have 50%, so random float works like random floats, like you've probably seen random functions in other languages. So this MB random is just a game version of random generator. And this will return a number between 0 and 1. Floating point number between 0 and 1. And we have 50% chance this way. The characters will have good day or bad day. So we can load back into the game. Unfortunately, you have to restart the game after every edit to your code. And we can see that some characters have good days and some characters have bad days. And there's lots of people here. And we can also do, let's try to make this a bit more fun as well. So let's go look at how the hero age works. So let's try to make our mod do something a bit more. If we go look at hero age, So we go back to DN Spy and we search for hero. And we look up age. We can see that hero age is computed like this. Birthday, elapsed years until now. So let's say I want to make this. Let's say that I want to make the heroes older every time they have a bad day. Let's see if I can make that. Birthday is private. Maybe I cannot actually do that. Public campaign, get birth time. You cannot actually nicely edit set birthday. Okay, you can use set birthday, campaign time birthday. Let's see if I can actually do this. I'm not sure. Let's see. Let's see if I can do this. I'm not sure. Campaign time. But this is something that you will have to do a lot. You will have to go to the debugger, go to this DN Spy, the reverse engineering tool, and you will have to go look up how stuff is done and have to like figure out if you can do that yourself. Elapsed years, so this will be ticks. Can I set ticks somehow? This is the very real reality of how things are done. Is there anything public here? Well, I need new campaign time. Campaign time. Birthday is 1, right? And this will have some sort of ticks, right? Ticks. If I had like with Harmony, which is the tool that we will use soon, but it's not recommended for basic mods. So Harmony is I don't know if you've heard about Bannerlord modding, you've probably heard about Harmony. Let me just quickly pull up this. If you've heard about Bannerlord modding, you've probably heard about Harmony and how modders don't really like using Harmony and what Harmony does. So Harmony is basically a library for runtime reflection, I don't think it's that offensive. It makes like it lets you do stuff like access private fields, and also it lets you patch methods and properties. So that's like one issue is that with Bannerlord is that a lot of stuff is like private. So all the private stuff makes modding kind of harder, right? So like I just want to change numticks, but I cannot change numticks because it's private, right? So now I have to figure out a way. Like numticks is like get only. I cannot set numticks. Well, I can make a new one. Okay, so I can get numticks. Okay, actually. But like if I had Harmony, I could just like take this birthday and then just set it to the private thing. But we will get to... Oh, numticks is internal. Yeah, right. So I cannot get numticks. If I had Harmony, I could just get this anyway, even though it's internal. But now I have to figure out some way to get delta time in ticks. Never. Maybe I can use this. Delta time. Can I make it so that players with bad days gain points to bad traits? Yeah, maybe. We can try that if it's easier. Let's try that maybe. But it's kind of harder to see if it happens. Maybe just for bad days. So traits. Well, apparently setting birthday is too hard. Or figuring out how the campaign time works is too hard now. So let's look at, see, traits.
I still miss you.
Get trait level. Okay, that looks good. Get trait level. Default traits. Let's say like mercy. And then set trait level. Set trait level internal. Okay, if mercy level, so mercy, the levels go from like -2 to 2, I think. If this is larger than -2, then mercy level is like we reduce it by 1. Let's try this. Right? So now, like every time someone has a bad day, they will lose 1 level of mercy. Now I will just fast forward a bit. If we look at like Exorios. Oh, and all of these might not even be searchable. Okay, and now hopefully everyone is cruel. Most people, or a lot of people, are also sadistic. If you look at like Brand, I don't know if that's actually a hero. Yeah, a lot of these are not searchable. I don't know why. Oh, this also probably has like this probably also has like notables and stuff. The Razana. What are these names? There's lots of like Unkid had worst day of their life. He's also sadistic. So you can do kind of a lot of things. So now, if you look at like my goals, we are here. So let's add a console command just to like test some stuff. Console commands are very useful, right? Like you can, when testing stuff and when doing your things, console commands are very useful. So let's go look at campaign cheats. This is another class in the base game. So campaign cheats has most of the console commands, so we can just look at how stuff is done from here. So you see that they use these attributes, command line functionality. Adding console commands is actually really easy. So let's try to do something fun. let's copy paste this. So I just went with dnspy to campaign sheets, and I just copy paste this to my code. Just any random console command that I find. Make hero wounded, whatever. And I don't need any of this. Use Visual Studio to load everything you need. And we will need to figure out what we want to do. Let's do something with settlements, for example. This will be our tutorial. This will be all the console commands are two-parters, right? So you have campaign.something. So let's make tutorial and set settlement prosperity, for example. Right? This should be inside the class, of course. And already just with this console command would be in the console. You can find this if it is just inside my submodule code or inside wherever, because it has this attribute. This method has this attribute. You can call this method through the console. So it's very, very easy and very useful. Then we can do settlement, all, where. Strings will be whatever you write to the console after the command, where first. So this is just trying to write a function that will match whatever we write. So this would be match. So settlement, a lot of things in the game you can just access like this, settlement.all will give you all settlements. This will all be static. Heroes, all alive heroes, settlement all. And then you can just use basic functions. First will return first match. So we make some condition. Here I wrote condition that the string that I write to the console command line, must match the name of the settlement, and this will just return the first match. Oh. Okay. Oh, I don't even need this, whatever. And set settlement prosperity needs to have two arguments, right? The first argument should be name of the settlement, and the second argument should be how much prosperity the settlement should have. So match.prosperity. Hopefully this is something that you can set easily. So we can use int with try parse or parse. Yeah, we can use int.parse. Okay, and prosperity. And we should also check that we have enough arguments. Okay. So now first we check that we have enough arguments. Then we find settlement that matches the first argument. And then we check that we actually found something. And then if we found something, we set the prosperity to whatever the second argument was. So now, if we open console, you see that we have this new command, and we can use it to set Marionette prosperity to 60,000. So you see that console commands are very quick to make and can be very useful when testing stuff. How do you access the console command? Which part? So you open the console with Alt tilde. So then the button above tabulator. So you just press Alt and that button, and then you get your console commands here. And these are super easy to make. I can just copy this and make something else, like whatever, like kill all gangs. I don't know, something. I don't want to actually implement this, but I can do stuff like this, right? And these are super quick to make. Okay. That is pretty much everything I wanted to do for the basic mod. So we have, let's recap. We have basic mod which has behavior. It has behavior that some people are having good days, some people are having bad days. Over time, everyone gets really angry and becomes, well, I need more time. Over time, everyone becomes really angry and they lose their mercy. And we have our console command. So our basic mod is basically done. It's completely useless, but it's done. And next part is the UI module, or the UI mod. So I want to do Gauntlet mod with UIExtender. Thanks, Fight Cancer. So I think I need to drink something and take a bit of breather before we start the second part. So to make UI mods, we will actually need Harmony and UIExtender to do things properly. So I will create a new project for that, but so let's look at some of the other resources that modders have made for people. So this is Bannerlord unofficial tools and resources. This is maintained by the Butter library people. Do you know if there are example code that we can work around? Example code for what exactly? I mean, there's lots of example code in the native. For example, this campaign cheats. I recommend that you go read this campaign cheats if you want to. I mean, if you want to make command line functions, this is very useful. And remember that you just like in the end spy, press Ctrl-Shift-K and write whatever you want to find. So I open all the DLLs and then I just write stuff here. Campaign cheats, and then I go here and I see all the cheats basically in the game. Can you make it so that person's traits affect settlements or castles? Sure. Like, but not right now. And how exactly? Like, you should add like, let's see what behaviors you have, or what actions you could listen for. So like you could make like a daily tick settlement event, and then you give it like you could look at who owns that settlement every day. Your code would be called every day for each settlement, and you could look at the owner, and then you could do whatever you want for that settlement based on the owner's traits. Actually, it's not too hard. So it would look like get trait level, default traits, honor, right. If he has honor larger than 100, then so something like this. Oh, my daily tick settlement. If the owner has positive honor, the prosperity increases by 100 every day. Can you quickly show again where the campaign sheets is with DNSpy? So the way I find stuff is I load all the DLLs. I go here to the root by bin directory in the Win64 shipping client. I make sure I have everything loaded. Well, I want to, but then I deselect native and all the excess, all the .x files. Then I go to modules, sandbox, bin, and load all the DLLs. Then I just press Ctrl-Shift-K and write campaign sheets. And I have selected here, in the filter I have selected class. So I get only class results. And this way I can find stuff. And this is basically how I find everything. So if I want to go to hero, I write hero. If I want to go to settlement, I just write settlement here. if I want to find agent on... Wait, I actually want to show this. I have this list of like interesting classes. I want to show this. Sandbox agent apply damage model. So sandbox agent apply damage model. This is interesting. This function does all the damage calculations in the game. So you have like attack information has like which weapon it was, who attacked, or missing weapon has which weapon it was, and how the collision happened. This has nothing to do with our mode, but this is just interesting class. So here you can see like if the weapon uses one-handed, then you check all the one-handed perks, and if the weapon uses two-handed, then you check all the two-handed skills, and this function calculates how much damage a hit does. And yeah, I don't know why I want to show this, but this is just cool. You can find all sorts of stuff if you know what to look for. This, I'm not going to mod this one right now. Okay, so we need to get to the second part. So making Gauntlet UI, making changes to the UI. Okay, so let's make a new project, but this time a bit differently. Let's use the actual template this time. So people behind Butter library have made this Bannerlord module template. So in the beginning I was making my own XML and own everything. So let's not do that. Instead, you can follow these instructions. I think it's useful to know how it's done, like what files should be there and how it's done. Like, I suggest people do everything manually once, and then once they have done things manually once, then you try to automate it somehow. And so the way you use this is with console, and they have these instructions here. So for example, they tell you to write this thing to see, wait, what? I'm confused. I thought... I'm very confused. I thought you can just copy paste stuff here. Shift insert doesn't work. Well, whatever. Let's use CMD. Okay. So the way you use this, you can use this through Visual Studio. They show how to use this through Visual Studio, but I don't want to do that right now. So the way you install this is just run this command in your console. If you have this .NET Core SDK, you just run this. And then you run this to see what the options are. So you can select framework. You should make your game directory. So this is something that you need to do if you want to use this template. So you need to go to your environment variables and set your Bannerlord game directory to wherever your Steam Bannerlord is. Then you can select stuff like if you want to install Harmony, and if you want to install UIExtender, and we want to install UIExtender for this example. You want to make UI mod. So let me just show what this does. Wait, what? This is not... The console is not very well behaved. Anyway, let's do this. Copy this and make our tutorial GUI mod. And we need to look at this. We want to have install UIExtender. UIExtender X hard. We need to set game. We want to set game version, I guess. What was it like this? 1.7.0. This should be fine. So we make new template tutorial GUI mod. We install UIExtender because we want to make UI mod. And Harmony was installed by default, right? Yes. Okay, so let's see what this does. So it created project for in here. Let's go check it out. Tutorial GUI mod. So now we get a bunch of stuff ready made for us. And when we build this, we will get some errors. Because it doesn't like lang version. This is kind of stupid, but whatever. I hope they fixed it at some point, but I have to unload the project, and then in here in lang version, I will write latest here, whatever. This was just because it didn't build. I reload the project. And then let's try to build it again. And this time it builds. And then what does this actually do now? So despite the fact that this code is in our like personal directory, like here, this is like C users sk tutorial GUI mod. I built this project, and it creates this folder inside our Bannerlord directory. So just by building this project, it creates all this. So now this actually, because we selected on the command line here, we selected that we want UIExtender as a dependency, and also Harmony is a dependency as a default. So now in our submodule XML that was created for us, we now depend on Harmony and we depend on UIExtender. And I will explain soon what these are. But this is how you use this one, Bannerlord module template. And it also puts our DLL here in the correct place. So basically everything was kind of done for us. Another thing that the template does, I was struggling to do this launch settings thing. You remember I was struggling with how to do this, how to get it to run. This actually sets these correctly, so we can immediately just and you can also see that this loads the modules in this specific order, so it makes the module order so that Harmony and UIExtender are loaded first, then all the native modules, and then last your own module. This is, I guess, the load order that people recommend that you use, and the template as well like puts your load order automatically in the correct order. So this was in the launch settings. So if we look at what so this is the thing that it created for me with the project files. So it was here, like in properties, we had this launch settings. And the module directory is something that will be copied over. Anything we write to the module directory will be copied over to our module in the in the game directory. So if we put some files here, like dummy file, and then we build this project, this dummy file will be copied to our module directory in our Bannerlord directory. You see copied dummy file here, and I can delete this on both sides. Okay. So now we have, and oh, by the way, so this actually, if you look at the submodule XML again, one that was created for us, I mean, this says that we depend on Bannerlord Harmony and Bannerlord UIExtender. So now you need to have those modules installed. So I just take these from Nexus mods, right? And just make sure you have these, because your mod now depends on these. You need to install these separately. Okay, so now we have the basic setup for a UI mod. And then how do you actually do stuff? Well, let's go get some. So the basic stuff, actually there is stuff on the wiki here, like making Gauntlet mod without C#. And we will start doing something similar to what they do here. So we will just copy some XML files to our project and make some edits to them. So all the GUI elements in the game look like this, like prefabs. So I go to sandbox, GUI, prefabs, and then like quest screen. Copy the quest screen XML to our underscore module. We make a new GUI directory here. So the GUI directory is where the XMLs kind of live. The GUI XMLs live. So now we can just actually make edits to this thing. And if we change something, quests title text, we can write like foo here, or like hello from my mod, and then like so this is the quest screen in the game. So there should be like accepted quests, completed quests. Well, I will show soon what this actually changes. Active quests text. I can change this to like, haha, you thought these quests were active. And now when I let's close the first project that we had open, and we have the GUI mod here. And now when I build this again, I put my files inside the underscore module directory, my XML, underscore module GUI. Now when I go to my module created for me, you can see that it put GUI directory here and quest screen XML. It copied the file over here. And I can just run this because it said the template set up everything for me. So I can now just run this. And let's make a new save with this new module. Okay, and let's go to quest screen, and we see that it didn't work. I wonder if it needs to be, surely not, right? I'm sorry, I don't, is this actually debug mode? I wonder why this didn't work. Oh, so let's see if our mod is actually loaded. It should be, right? So our module is loaded. See. Our module is loaded. So this is kind of the annoying part, like this was actually the stuff that was kind of hard to understand as well. Okay, so maybe it does want it to be called GUI prefabs. Okay, I was wrong. You cannot place the XMLs directly to the GUI directory. It has to be in GUI prefabs. Let's try to... Let's try that again then. And one thing, again, I want to continue game so that we don't need to go through the main menu. So I should change the launch settings so that there is a continue game option there in the command line arguments. Okay, so yeah, now that we set the prefabs, we put the XML in the correct directory. You can see that the game just loads the UI XML from our mod. And let's do something else. Let's go to, again, the sandbox GUI prefabs, and let's go to, let's say, like party screen, and let's copy the party screen prefab. And this is like one gotcha that I had to figure out somehow. So now if we make edits to the party screen XML, this XML is basically just like HTML or something. Like this is just a markup language which defines the UI. And if we look for some text that we can change, what is this? This is data source current character. This is character name, right? So this is like a whitefish. So our character name is now whitefish on the party screen. So this is editing the party screen. And if we make if we restart our mod, how I forgot to add the continue game again. Let me do it right now. The launch settings. I will add this so that we don't need to go through the main menu. Now if I go to party menu, you can see that my edit is not here. My change is not here. And that is because the party menu does not come from the XML files at all. And this is kind of like hard to explain maybe. Like how do you actually figure out stuff like this? Or like we need to understand a bit more about how the UI is actually loaded. So I wonder how I should explain things. If we go to, well, all of the above movie. Yeah, so Gauntlet movie. So the top level UI elements, like the quest screen, like the party screen here, like the quest screen here, they are called movies. So this XML that we copied here to our prefab is like the definition for the movie. And then we can find out that the thing that actually loads these movies is this load movie function. And this will be very useful soon. But the important part here, or the thing that you should know now, why our party screen did not work, is because the party screen is loaded from like a generated prefab. So they made some changes to the UI system because it was too laggy. So now if you want to actually load the party screen from your XML, you need to set UI.useGenerated_prefab 0. And now you can see that my name here updated to whatever I wrote to my XML. This load movie stuff will be useful soon. Let's actually go see. Let me show you how this is used. So you see here, like if we go to UI config, do not use generated prefabs. You can see that this is the command. No, this is the command that is like set using pre-generated prefabs. So there's probably like better way of doing this. But the way I would like, because like you kind of want to, be more specific, I think, for disabling this thing. But like for now, I will just disable this like using pre-generated prefabs entirely. So let's go UI config. And this takes string arguments. So now, at the beginning of my module, we will just disable this. So, pre-generated prefabs are something that you can see here, I think. No. Tailworth Mountain Blade auto-generated. Let's see, where can we find Gauntlet UI auto-generated? Oh, can we find party screen? Stuff like this, right? So these are all generated UI. So these are classes generated from the XML. So this particular DLL is sandbox.gauntletui.autogenerated. So here we can see, for example, party screen __ tailboard campaign system blah 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 blah. Dependency 12 item template, all this stuff. So by typing this thing, UI use generated prefab 0, we basically disable all these auto-generated UI things from working. And now all the UI elements will be loaded from our XMLs. Well, let's go back to the load movie thing that we had open, actually. Because now the next thing I want to turn your attention to are these view models. These view models are how you actually like put stuff into your UI. So we want to make our own view model so that we can get our own data in. So let's try to do that. So let's go see how load movie is used. For example, on quest screen. So on quest screen, the second argument is data source, some sort of view model with the data source. And there's something called Gauntlet quest screen. where the data source is quests view model. Quests VM meaning quests view model. So if we want to, basically if we want to put stuff onto the quest screen, the easiest way to do that is to extend this quests VM with the UIExtender library. So the UIExtender library was something that we have in our dependencies, if you remember. So when we created this project, I gave the console command instruction that you should install UIExtender X. So now we have this library installed. And that one actually has good documentation. So I recommend that you go to the UIExtender EX documentation. And then you go to like the view model mixin. So this is how you actually extend view models. So let's copy this, I guess. So we need this thing to register the UIExtender EX. Well, that should be here. So the this is my submodule. Oh, this is how you register the UIExtender library. And then we need something to augment this quests VM. So let's look at the documentation again. So it says that we need to options VM mixin. So we need something like this to augment or extend the quests VM. What was it again? Quests VM, yes. Right? And we need all this stuff. And this should be now it's complaining that it doesn't have everything it needs, I guess. So we need well, we need to give it a constructor. Okay, yeah. We need to give it a constructor that gives the base VM or passes through the base VM. And now with the UIExtender, we can just we can basically just give our own data into here like this. We can make our own property. So this should be like, how do you actually pass strings? I should check, like, can you pass like strings, or do you have to, yeah. So you can pass like string, which is like my text from code. And this can be anything. This is injected string. This should be data source property. Yeah. So now we have created a mixin, or we have extended quests VM. So now every time the game tries to create quests VM, it will instead create this our abomination mixin, which has been extended with this new property, new data source property. So now if we go back here to where the quest screen movie, the quest screen XML is loaded here using this data source quests VM. But instead of using this quests VM, it will actually use this class that we made. And now if we go to go again to our quest screen XML. Wait, how do you... If I open Visual Studio Code here, and no, wait. We go here. We can modify again our prefab, the XML. And now in here we can actually just use the property that we have injected. So my text from code. If we look for like, so all these things, data source, something in brackets, these are all properties from the quest VM. We can go check that actually, quests VM. So for example, active quests lists, this should be here probably. As a property. And you will see that it's also like a data source property, giving you MB binding list, quest item view model. So now that we have injected this our own data source property, this is our data source property, my text from code. We can just use it here. And if we try to run this now, okay, this is I think where our text should be, but it is not. My text from code. So let's see. Is this even called? It is not even called. So this is kind of the... Okay, I want to see some place where they actually use text from view model text. Oh, @ sign. That's probably the issue, right? So these are, well, actually, these are sort of hot reloadable. So if we go to our module here, and the quest screen, text from my mod. If I write my changes directly to the Bannerlord module directory, then these are hot reloadable, at least in theory. So if I write like UI toggle debug mode, okay, now the injected string works. So you can see that we were able to write data to this page through the view model injection. Just needed to. There's like absolutely no documentation for this XML, by the way. You just have to figure out how to do things by yourself. So let's recap what we just did. So we registered UIExtender. Pretty simple, just copy pasted this stuff. Well, we also disabled using generated prefabs, just so that we can mod the party screen. We can mod this from our XMLs, because if we don't disable the pre-generated stuff, this will be loaded from the code and we cannot change it through XML. Then we made this view model mixin. So we extended quests VM. We found where the quest screen module movie is loaded, and we found out that the data source for this quest screen is this quest view model, and we found this through just analyzing the load movie. So we analyzed the load movie, found out where the quest screen movie is loaded. We found the data source, quest view model, and then we made this mixin for quest view model and implemented this new data source property, which is my text from code. So yeah, that's basically how you extend the UI. Now, of course, we can do a lot more interesting things than just put static string here, but hi Fason. So this is basically how I did the thing for extending the encyclopedia. But it is kind of hard figuring out all those steps along the way, because like a lot of this stuff is not very well documented, but some of it is. So like, for example, I recommend that you read this UIExtender EX documentation, because this is actually well made. And next, I think I had an idea. Let's disable the debug mode for now. I had one more idea that I maybe wanted to do. So I maybe wanted to do like green screen effect for this. So I had this idea for UI mod where we can put green screen behind these items, so it's easier to take like basically export them or something. So let's see how I might do that. I think that might be the last thing. So let's go find the prefab where these are, which renders this preview window. So the way we do that is we go back to the sandbox modules. Let's see. We go back to the sandbox module. We go to the prefabs. Let's look for something. So inventory item preview is almost certainly the one that we're looking for, right? Then we copy this thing to our prefabs. And let's see what this thing does. So we have some sort of frame. So at this point I have no idea what I'm doing. So let's just see what we can do here. Let me post a Discord link in the chat actually. Well, Lesson, you're modded now, so I think you can post links, whatever. At least you should be able to. So, button widget, pop-up close button. So let's see. Preview, there's no close. Oh, that's close button, right? Yeah. So this is probably, this has to be the thing that actually renders. So while I'm testing, I want to be editing the folder in my actual Bannerlord module directory, because the way the template copies these files around is kind of annoying, and since there's like hot reloading for these XML files, I want to be changing them directly. So now I have this open in here, directly in the game folder. So now it should auto load this, or like hot reload this, I think. Or maybe it doesn't work if, I'm not sure if it works like when I'm not sure it works when the file did not exist previously. Well, at least now it's not working, so whatever. Let me restart the game. I'm not editing the wrong file again, right? This is the wrong... Okay, so open the right file. Now I have the right file for sure. Okay, so let's make changes here. Let's just make sure that this is the right place to be editing. Okay, it's not working. Let me try restarting. Let's see if that changes anything. Well, first of all, item inventory item preview. A lot of the modding is kind of just trying stuff out and seeing what works and what doesn't, right? Okay, so now we clearly see that something was not rendered properly. Now we clearly see that something was not rendered properly. So this is definitely the right place to be editing. Again, I want to open the file directly in the game directory so that it's kind of easier to see my edits live. let's just see that if I change this, we can actually hot reload the changes. Maybe I cannot. Why does this not work? Okay, now it works. I need to close the inventory and open it back up again. So now I want to make green screen for this brush widget, I guess. So let's go look at one more thing about the Gauntlet actually. Pretty much everything ending in widget is something in code. Let's go actually find. So there's this tailwords.gauntlet UI. So here you have like brush widget, button widget, editable text widget, drop down widget. So all these like something widget. These are all stuff that is defined in code. But the prefabs are also accessible. Like they are kind of recursive in the sense that you can use other prefabs inside prefabs. So like when you see, actually let's go to party screen, I guess. So here in the party screen, the definition for party screen starts with party screen widget. First thing inside party screen is party screen widget. So this party screen widget is something from code. If we look for party screen widget, we can actually go there. It's in Gauntlet UI widgets.party. Other things in here are other prefabs. So for example, I know one example of this like recursive prefab thing was in like sandbox, GUI, prefabs, inventory, and like inventory list. So the inventory, if we go look at this, the inventory XML, the inventory movie, uses this other prefab, which is inventory lists. But then like this stuff, for example, the widget here, or the hint widget, these are things from code. So it's a bit confusing, but not too bad. They have like this naming convention thing. Everything ending in widget is from code. But you can also like build your own UI from these components, which can all be just in XML. If you can do what you want to build just in XML, that's fine. So then we can see here that this, so I wanted to, so this is the background, right? This is some sort of brush widget. I don't know what that's about, but we can go look what brush widget does. So we look up it in code, and I would like to have something where I can set the color myself. There is no mention of word color inside brush widget. So let's go to its parent class widget, and let's see if there is mention of color here. And widget also has on render, which looks very interesting, some sort of rendering thing. We can see that if this has sprite, then the sprite material color is set to this color. So I guess we want sprite. So I don't think we need brush. I think we want sprite. So let's just remove this brush widget here, and let's put widget here. I don't want brush. I don't think frame doesn't sound very good. Let's see what this does actually. I'm kind of annoyed by this, having this XML being copied over thing, but I guess we will live with it for now. What you could do is you could just remove this whole underscore module thing and start just editing your files directly in the module directory. That would be, I think, better, but... So now I removed the brush widget, changed it to just normal widget, and we can exit this screen and come back and see what happens. Now you can see that the background disappeared completely. That was kind of what I wanted. Let's make this a bit smaller. So now I want sprite for this thing, but how do I find it? What is sprite and how do I find it? So that's when that's where I will use this tool called reprep. So reprep is just like fast version of grep. And grep is like recursively searching directories for patterns. So if I go to my Bannerlord directory, so I'm looking for sprite. So I had a widget, and I have a theory that I want to have a sprite, add sprite for it. But I have no idea what sprites are. So I would just try to find usages of that one. So let's go here. Why does that not work? I don't... Kind of annoyed by my terminals right now, but we will manage. Okay, and then I can write like reprep is RG, and then I'm looking for sprite, usage of sprite, right? So this way I can find all the places in the XMLs where someone writes sprite something. And I can just look for something that looks applicable. Like blank white circle is pretty good. And blank white square sounds even better. Okay, blank white square underscore 9. Let's see what that does. So I want to add to my widget sprite, which is blank white square underscore 9, and then some color. So let's make red color. And again, I need to copy this because it is kind of how things are now done. Okay, so that went pretty well. So basically, I was able to search for all the usages of word sprite in the XML. This is basically how you have to learn how to use the, or learn how the XML works, because there's no documentation for anything. So you just look for usages of things. So I wanted to make a like green screen type of thing. This is red screen now, but like, so the color is here, right? This is RGB. So if I change it like this, and then copy it around. You can see that now we have green screen effect on this screen. Okay. But this is extremely useful, like even if you have no idea what you're doing, you can just look for usage of things. So like for example here you see exactly what I was doing. So trade label container is like widget with sprite, blank white square, and then some color. In this case this seems to be like half transparent background. So at this point we can go look at the official documentation again, see if there's anything useful here. I think there was one actually kind of interesting thing here. That was the sprite editor. Oh, if you want to know, if you actually want to know what the sprites are, you could go to the official documentation and look up this like generating loading sprite sheets. They show how to use the, this is written as like kind of tutorial, and here you could actually figure out what how you can use this resource browser to find all the sprites and all that stuff. And how you can import your own sprites to the game. But it seemed kind of complicated and I don't know. But like if you want your own sprites in the game, you kind of need to do that, I guess. And similarly, if you want to know if you actually like care to how to use the brushes, I guess, you can search for like brush, and then you will find all the places where brushes are used in the game, in the base module XMLs. So that way you can get sort of idea of how these different properties are used, and like if you want to know how rich text widget is used, then you can do this as well. But let's see what we did. So we managed to do our basic C# mod, and we made setup environment. We set up the environment, and we managed to add behaviors to it. We made some kind of interesting behaviors. We added console commands. Then we made our Gauntlet mod, and we modified both the quest screens and the inventory screen, and some of those screens were something that is loaded from prefabs, generated prefabs by default, but we were able to disable the loading of the generated prefabs and load those from our XML instead. We were able to make our own view model mixin, load data from our view model mixin to the quest screen. And then we were able to change this inventory preview screen . So yeah, I think we managed to do our goals. Managed to do everything I set out to do, so that's cool. Okay. I might actually redo this tutorial soonish, because like, well, I don't know, let's see. There were some technical difficulties at the beginning, and maybe I can do a better job next time. Be a bit more structured and stuff. But I think this is pretty much done now. Unless someone has some questions about this. Maybe the UI stuff was kind of like too much, but too much for this tutorial, all the UIExtender stuff and all that stuff, but I don't know. I mean, it was kind of hard to figure out, so I think it's better that it's documented at least somewhere, like the whole process. I would definitely get better at these coding streams, like can't be perfect on the first time anyway. So I guess this will be a process where the modding streams will get better and better as time goes on. I guess I can check Flesson's message on Discord now. Let's see. I guess the stream is ending now and I don't think anyone has any questions, so thanks for watching, guys. I hope to see you again, and maybe I can make better modding streams and more structured content. Thanks, Everett. Thanks, guys. I want to like I would definitely get better at explaining things. So like if you have like it's very hard to talk while coding, and like it's definitely like skill that you need to develop anyway. So I hope at least some of the information is useful for people, but it's kind of hard because there's like one picture in my head, like, and then like, but it's not verbal, right? So, like, programming is not exactly verbal in my opinion, so it's kind of hard to like translate it into words, like explaining what you do and stuff. Like I'm just trying to like scrabble together some XML files somewhere, and then I need to like, there's too much jumping around. I wish it could be more like I wish it could be more in like one place and just editing one thing and then building structure around that, but I guess that is the reality of things, is that you need to jump around. But please give the UI editing a try. It's kind of not too bad. And even though the XMLs are kind of like, well, they're very different, but if you have done things in like HTML, I think you can learn it pretty quick. And overall, I think like what I've seen of the UI system, it looks very good. Like I like it a lot, but it's just there's definitely a learning curve. But one thing I want comments on is like, should it be like less content or like more content, more speed, less speed, like more stuff that I don't know how to do beforehand, or less stuff, or like just things that I know how to actually do, and like is it actually useful when I go search for stuff that I don't know already? Like, is it useful to see my process of finding things that I don't know? Or should it be like kind of just tutorial, do this step, then do this step, then do this step? Because like when you are actually modding, you will run into problems like every 2 minutes, if not like more often than that. And like you need to be able to look through the code, like look through your view in the dnSpy. Like there's no documentation. You need to be able to read this stuff, and you need to be able to find stuff here. And like you need to be able to find the load movie thing and then analyze it and find the places where stuff is loaded. Gauntlet map save. So Fesson, you're suggesting that it should be more tutorial-like. So that was like kind of the question, like should it be more tutorial-like or should it be more like what it's actually like to do things? Because like the actual way of doing things is nothing like the tutorial-like way. I guess I will... at some point like... At some point I will actually like do longer streams or like my own projects. I will do my own projects. Like I have idea for a mod that I want to start making. So if I stream my actual mod making, then that would be a lot of like me trying to figure out stuff on the fly. Yeah, I can do both. But anyway, yeah, I think I'm pretty much done. Thanks a lot.